Well, hello. I appreciate Don asking me to be part of this series that he's doing on Just a Thought. And so today I'd like to share a thought with you. A few weeks ago, my wife and I were traveling from Dallas out to Abilene, Texas, west of Dallas. And as we were talking about perspective in life. And she made the point. We just have to look for the blessing. You know, that's easy to do when the sun is shining, the sky is clear, and everything's going our way. It's hard to do when the winds begin to blow in our face and when the clouds come overwhelm our lives. To look for the blessing. Looking for the blessing reminds us that God knows and God cares. I'm reminded of Moses. It must have been a dark day. The day he smote the rock instead of speaking to it. And the Lord told him as a result of that, he could not enter the land of promise. But the blessing came that God showed him the promised land. I'm reminded of Paul. In Philippians chapter 1, he's in prison. The man who loved to travel and preach the gospel, establish churches. Now his feet are bound, his hands are bound. He's bound to a Praetorian guard 24 hours a day. But the blessing is those guards get to hear the gospel. Furthermore, brethren were emboldened and were more confident because of Paul. And yes, there were some who were preaching the gospel for envy and strife. But instead of looking at the negative, Paul found the blessing. The gospel was being preached. The key is, Paul said, I have learned to be content. I have learned to be content. We have to learn to look for the blessing. I'm reminded of Peter. He said, Lord, let me walk on the water. He stepped out, walked on the water. We like to focus on the fact that he began to sink. But have you ever thought about the fact he was the only one that stepped out of the water? And the only one that felt the hand of the Lord when he cried, Lord, save me? The others stayed in the boat. But Peter felt the saving hand of the Lord. What a blessing. The 7 churches in Asia, for the most part, are a mess. But here's the blessing. The Lord had not removed their candlestick. Because of 2 men, Joshua and Caleb, the promise about the Messiah was fulfilled. It seemed like they had turned their back on God. For 40 years they've been wondering, whining, complaining at such a negative thing. But here's the blessing. Joshua and Caleb led them across the promised land. Led them across the Jordan into the promised land. And the promise of the Messiah was fulfilled. That young man that wanders away from home, that's so heartbreaking when he told his father, give me all that is mine, which was not his. He came back to his father. There's the blessing. When we find ourselves away from God, here's the blessing. His grace, His mercy calls us home. So wherever you're at, whatever you're doing in life, please, always find the blessing. Just a thought. Have a good day.